Shalom family, this is your boy, Yohanan Hebrew Prince, and I'm coming to you on a beautiful, although it is rainy, but a beautiful Shabbat morning. And I want to start off this morning and get right into this thing. So the first thing I want to do is I want to read to you Tehillim, chapter 118, verses 1 through, and I think we're going to stop at 4. And it reads as thus. It says, "Oh, give thanks to Hawa, for he is good, because his loving commitment is everlasting. Let Yitzrael now say, his loving commitment is everlasting. Let the house of Ehedon now say, his loving commitment is everlasting. Let those who fear Hawa now say, his loving commitment is everlasting. For this is the day that Hawa has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. For his love, his peace, his kindness, his joy, his strength, and his wisdom endures to all generations. Hallel Hawa, Hallel Hawa, Hallel Hawa." And like I said this morning, I'm excited. I really want to get into this thing. But before I do that, there's a couple of things that I must do. First, I just want to say, I want to give a shout out to all the new subscribers and all the newcomers. Welcome to the channel. I hope that the information that's being put on this channel, not only for myself, but for my wife and for my mother, and for those of you who leave comments, which I'll be showing you that in a few minutes and giving you a shout out as well. I hope that this information is edifying, because that's all it's for. The information is to edify you. It's going to roughen you up a little bit, may make you a little bit disturbed, a little bit angry. You may not like exactly what I'm saying all the time, but it's not to be biased. I'm trying my best with the help of the Most High, Hawa, to be as unbiased as possible. So thank you for coming, and I hope that you will continue to stay and listen, and then send the information out to those that are in your family, your children, your sons, daughters, nephews, nieces, your uncles, aunties. We're trying to get this information out to everyone. This is not a one-man show. This is information that needs to get out to the people, to our people first, and of course to the nations of this earth. It's very, very imperative that we get this information out, because we're not going to learn this in church. We're not going to learn a lot of this in the public school, especially the public school system. You may get a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction if you pay enough money for a private school. But I'm telling you now, the goal of this is to ensure that we get the information out, transform our thinking, and so that we can be more connected to Hawa. We can be more connected as a community, as a people, and hopefully they'll bring us together as humanity. Now, I definitely want to give a few shout outs, but before I get to that, I definitely want to rehash what the purpose of this channel is and what we're trying to accomplish. We got a lot of goodies this morning. The purpose of this channel is to intellectually, philosophically, psychologically, and spiritually combat the social, mental, and emotional bondage that the powers that be have inflicted on the masses. This channel is for the truth seeker, the freedom fighter, the spiritual warrior, and the seeker of righteousness. The basis of information will come from the scriptures. However, other historical documents and works, ancient and modern, will be presented, giving all a full spectrum of information to provide guidance and subjects covered on this channel. Information on this channel will be presented in a manner that is simple yet loaded with layers of truth that will lead one to true liberation. May the peace of the Most High be with you all. Shalom. That's what this channel is about. Okay, now with that all said, now that we have covered the basis, I definitely want to send a shout out to all those that have been leaving comments, that have been edifying me and giving me information. Again, I have no monopoly on truth. I do not know everything. As the information is given to me, as I'm reading, as I'm researching, searching and researching and researching and searching again, I'm going to put it out. So when I'm asking for every individual that is a subscriber, or every person that you talk to, or people that you're going to give the message to, have them bring the information so that we can come together, have either a phenomenal discussion, debate, whatever have you, so that it can be healthy. We come to a consensus and we get to the root of issues and problems and put out the proper information. That's what we're about. Okay, so I definitely want to send some shout outs to this individual named Chris. Chris put out some good information. I owe you a lookup, and I'll get back to you. I appreciate the information that you put out about Noah. Definitely let's keep scrolling down. Miss Lisa Robinson, thank you very much. Just for the love, the info, definitely appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? My man Jay Stu, thank you. That's much love that you sent out, and I appreciate the comments that you leaving as well. Mr. Irvin Reed, I appreciate you as well. Thank you very much. Thea G, you're a jewel as well. I appreciate the once again the encouragement. Of course, 432 the Drop Radio, King Drop, my man. Thank you. Even when at my inception of this channel, trying to just find who I am on this channel, as I still am, you have always been there to show some love and support, and I appreciate you as well. Wandering Argatha, I'm sorry I'm tearing your name up, but I'm gonna just say Wandering. I appreciate you and everything that you're putting out as well. My wifey, my queen, my baby, Elize Moon, thank you so much. You've always been with me, even when I, just from day one, 8 years ago. So I appreciate you very, very much. Mr. Dotson, Darian Dotson, I thank you for the info, for just continuously being on the journey with me and continuously putting out love. And I just kind of wanted to take this time to just send shout outs to everyone that has left comments, and everyone that has definitely shown love, and all of you, that's showing love from afar, showing, giving out prayers and everything. I appreciate that. So now that we've gotten through that as well, because I wanted to make sure that was done, we have to get into the information. Now, with that said, let me close this window so you can just see this screen. I need every single individual to have an open mind today. This message is for our melanated queens. That's what this message is, specifically for our melanated queens. However, my brothers, my kings, I need you listening. This is very, very important information. We're going to hear some topics. I really don't know how long this video is going to be, so be patient. I don't know if I'm breaking it up in two. I'm just going to keep talking until the Most High says it's time to finish up and let it go. So I don't know how long it will be. I just pray you be patient with me. Send your prayers, and let's move on. Now, the reason why I'm taking this time to tell you to open up your heart and your mind is because we're going to cover some topics, my sisters. We're going to play a couple of videos. We're going to cover some topics, and they're going to get to your core. I'm going to be honest with you, because even doing the information, even about to put it out, is definitely already getting to mine. Okay, because I played a part in this foolishness. I played a part, and I sincerely apologize to the sisters that I have affected, and also I apologize to my queen. I apologize to my daughters. I apologize to my mother. I apologize for being a part of the problem, and I'm now trying to be a part of the solution. So I'm very transparent with that I've also made mistakes in my life, and I'm trying to correct them. So at the end of the day, we have to get into this information, and we're going to go right into it. So the topic of discussion, my melanated queens, is talking about you being the giver, the portal, the importance of life. You, my queens, life is burrowed through you. I've said this time and time again, twice in 2 videos now, and I'm saying it again in this third one, that it's through you that life enters into this dimension. If you do not allow life to come, you can do that. But you also can't allow it to come, and you can nurture that life. You can make that life great. Again, behind every great man is a phenomenal, strong woman of fortitude, a warrior, a queen is behind that brother, no doubt. I don't care who that brother is. He has some queen supporting him. He has some queen that is taking care of him. He has some queen that is on his side and taking care of all the other things that brother may not be able to. So it is very imperative that you understand your worth and your power, and how much and how important you are to this struggle, how in our overcoming and becoming who we are supposed to be as men and as a community of people. My melanated sister, my queen, you are very important to this operation. You are very important to the mission. You have been important to the Most High himself to ensure that you are a portal of life, a giver of life, an incubator of life. You are that, and don't let nobody take that from you. I don't care what brother, what sister, whoever that's not comprehending who and what you are. You are very valuable. You're priceless. And I must predicate this, or preface rather, this dialogue with that. You need to know that it's very important. Now, with that said, my sisters, we have to get to some information that you need to know, because there's a war on you, and there's also a war on your babies. And it's right now transparent. A lot of people don't see it. A lot of things have not been. It has been revealed, but has been covered over, has been hidden. And today, what are we doing on this channel? We about busting it up, and we're gonna put it in. We're gonna expose it. But I need you to not get in your feelings, my sisters. And if you are gonna get in your feelings, immediately get out of them and face these facts, so that we can correct these facts, and so you can help your other sisters out there, your other melanated queens out there, and your queens in training, your princesses, to ensure that we do not make this mistake, because this is some valuable things that we're about to go over. Okay, this is very valuable. My brothers, I need you to encourage your wives, encourage your aunties, encourage your daughters, encourage your wives to pay attention to this message today. This is a special message for the melanated sisters. So now let's pull up something here. First thing I want to do is I want to start this off with a video. Okay, now this is by Dr. Julia Hare. For those of you who do not know who Dr. Julia Hare, we're going to look her up here. Dr. Julia Hare is a dynamic motivational lecturer, relationship expert, author, social commentator, and educational psychologist. Okay, so, and she was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm gonna leave this link. I'm not gonna go too far into this this queen here. Now, I must tell you, we have to make sure that we comprehend the perspective of these videos that I'm going to play and the people that are on these videos. I do not, and I repeat, I do not agree with every single thing that these two individuals say. The two individuals will be, this one will be the first one, Dr. Julia Reed. The second will be Dr. Umar Johnson. Now, I'm telling you again, I do not agree with everything they say, because they have a Pan-Africanist going back to Africa, African, everybody's melanated African type of theme to it. I don't need you to listen to that part. And those of you that's on this channel, you already know that we are indigenous here. We already talk about the 1828 definition of an American, about the copper color races that were found here by the European. We've already went over that. And if there's any more clarification right with that, please leave the comments at the bottom, and I will be more than happy to either point you to the video, point you to the resource through 432 to drop his channel, or J Stu, or whoever, and be able to point you in that direction, or give you the information myself. I have no problems doing that, but I need you to get these gems. Right now, we are trying to get the gems. The information that these two doctors have put out are very important and indicative to what's going on right now, 2017, in our current public school system and amongst our children, our princes and our princesses. We need to make sure that we're paying attention. Okay, so she has done a lot. She has appeared in CNN, Company, C-SPAN, Tony Brown's Journal, Inside Edition. She's done work with Travis Smiley, State on the Black Family Conference, and spoke at the annual Essence Empowerment Seminars on Essence Magazine Culture. She has done a lot of work. Okay, and this is interview date 2004. Okay, so what I need you to really comprehend here is that this individual will be speaking on this video, and I'm gonna leave this link so that you can go take a gander at it and research who this individual is. So again, disclaimer, I do not agree with everything that is said, particularly by these two individuals. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up the other individuals so that we can get the introductions out the way. This brother is called Dr. Umar Johnson. As you can tell, I skipped that middle because I'm not even gonna act like I could pronounce that. Dr. Umar Johnson is a doctor of clinical psychology and certified school psychologist who is considered an expert on education and mental health of African and African American children. Dr. Umar, as he is known to friends, is a paternal blood relative of both the great abolitionist Frederick Douglass, 1818 to 1895, and the late Bishop Alexander Wayman, 1821 to 1895, 7th Bishop of the AME Church, both from Maryland, Eastern Shore. Okay, he does a lot with education. He talks about ADHD. He's a child therapist. He has a few books written. This is the brother. He's as I told you already. He deals with Pan-Africanism. He deals a lot talking about Marcus Garvey and Frederick Douglass. This is just two main people that he deals with. Again, as I've said to you before, if you have seen the channel and you see the things that's put in it, then you know that I'm not down with the Pan-Africanism. However, I will not dispute an individual regarding his expertise. So this brother has a doctor of clinical psychology and certified school psychologist. So based off of his information, his research, that which he's done in his profession, he has concluded some matters that is very, very important that you, my mothers, my queens, that you listen to, because this is what's happening to our children. Brothers, fathers, need you to pay attention to this as well. But the reason why I'm coming after you, sisters, regarding this matter is because at the end of the day, as I've told you before, the first person to nurture a child is you. The first person to teach a child is you. The person that's normally bringing the child to school on a mass scale. Fathers, I'm not saying you don't, because I sure do. But on a mass scale, the person that's dealing mostly with the school system regarding the child is the mother. And I also want to put a disclaimer out as well. I'm not ignorant to think that everyone listening under the sound of my voice or subscribing to this channel or out here in the world trying to do something is two-parent homes. Single parent families is a big epidemic in our community. So I'm more than sure that there are some single mothers right now that could possibly be listening to this. So that means right now that single mother might be the sole proprietor for that child, which denotes to the fact that that parent, which is you, the single mother, have to know what's going on in this public school system and how it's affecting us. And then we're going to bring this back to scripture and how this relates to the scripture. So we're going to make a full turn today. Okay, so let's make sure we keep everything in perspective. Again, I need you to take your glasses of feelings and emotions off, and I need you to put on the thinking cap of open-mindedness and information gathering. That's what I need for you to do. Take off the emotions and put on the information gathering, get the gems where we can, and make sure that we better our people. Okay, this is what we're about. So now let's start off. I want to pull up Miss Julia, Dr. Julia. And I want you to take a listen. This is a 9-minute and 54-second video, and she says a lot of great things. And I need everyone who's listening to this to really pay attention. All right, here we go.
Relationships have survived as they have. What say you about that 400 years later?
It is amazing. It is amazing that black relationships have lasted for 400 years. They lasted this morning. They're also going to last tonight, and you may not even know the person to whom you're going to have the relationship with. But they do tend to go over. Relationships do go over like that. And as we move into what has happened to this, I know that our relationships sometimes really reach a low ebb. That's one of the reasons why we wrote the book, How to Find and Keep a BMW, a Black Man Working. That was spelled out in there. It's just very serious. Because our relationships didn't start yesterday or last week. It also started 400 years ago when those 19 persons were here. And I want you to remember something very important that one of our by any means necessary power brokers told us, and that was Malcolm X. He said, if we can only remember that you didn't land at Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on you. And it's very essential that we kind of keep this in place. And knowing that these are the things that happen, then we have to move more to change it. See, we have a system that would not like to see black males and black females together. They would not like to see that happening at all. Because once we come together, they understand the power of the strength of the black woman, the queen of the universe. They know that strength of the black woman, the queen of the universe, black woman, the queen of the universe, black woman, the queen of the universe.
I'm playing that back and forth for a reason. Okay, I need you to comprehend, my sisters, who you are. Okay, you are a queen. And I know that, you know, we can sit up here and say this is being biased because this is a queen, a melanated queen, calling you queen of the universe or calling you a queen. But you need to comprehend, first woman was melanated. You are a queen. You are a queen and you have the power of a queen. So we need to ensure that you comprehend that. Let's keep it moving. She's talking some good things. Please pay attention.
They know that, her strength. They also know the power of the black male, the warrior. If you would turn him loose, he will protect also his family and things that need to be done. And because they understand that if our relationships are together, then they will lose. But if our relationships are torn up, then we can forever be treated in certain ways by the oppressors. That's why they gave us something called integration, which is nothing but the illusion of inclusion. They gave us this. They actually gave that statement. And when they gave that statement, it meant that they could go right into your homes. They went into the black homes now, the powers that be, and told us that you cannot discipline your children anymore. And if you discipline your children, you will go into jail. It's this kind of thing they told us. Now, this is amazing that, you know, the black parents who in Africa, that was out of the question. Some social worker come in there saying you can't discipline your children, the social worker would disappear. As you all know, this kind of thing would go on. You would be sitting in a place like this, and all you had to do was act up and do something wrong, and all your mother had to do was to glance in your direction. Do y'all remember that?
My sisters. So she's saying things in a manner to where it gets people aroused, it gets people, you know, kind of laughing and talking a little bit. But I really need you to grab these jewels and grab these gems. Please comprehend that right now, our children are going through hell right now. In this system, getting killed for minuscule offenses. We must make sure that, one, we're doing everything we can to discipline our children, and we have to make sure that we are doing everything we can to ensure that our children know what's going on and ensure that they know how to conduct themselves in society. By no way, shape, or form am I saying that the individuals that get hurt, they didn't know how to conduct themselves. All I'm simply saying is that we control what we own. And my sisters, it starts with you. Control what you own. Do not let your sons, especially if you're a single parent, my sister, do not let your sons get away with talking back to you and acting foolish. Teach them how to treat you. Teach them how to treat you and teach them the truth behind these matters. Do the best that you can. If there's a male figure around, definitely get that a positive male figure. Get that young boy or that young prince rather around a man, a king that can teach that boy that can teach that prince what he needs to know. But it's a war out here on these streets. So she's talking about the black family. She's talking about the importance of the so-called black family, rather. Talking about the importance of discipline and how it has changed. How not only society, but legally, a lot of things has changed, not allowing you to discipline your child. But discipline is very needed. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Do not allow your children to be spoiled for fear. For fear what may happen. There are all ways that we must still discipline our children, because if we don't discipline them, especially you, my sister, and I say you because, again, I'm not ignorant to believe that everybody has a king in the home. Or, you know, I know that's not real within our community specifically. So you have to ensure that you lay down the law and ensure that your prince and your princess know how to act and how to be respectful. We must get back to the fundamentals, and it start off with you, my sister, because at the end of the day, you can save your child. You can, and you have, and you will. And that's why I'm coming at you today with this information. Let's keep on listening.
And you remember that the glance meant don't let me have to get up and come over there. And every once in a while in the black family, there was a fool who would challenge the glance. And if you could get home over the foot, over the ironing cart, over whatever, you were sent to the backyard to get something off the peach tree. And if you brought something in that was too short, God forbid that you would do something like that. But then it got so terrible in frightening us. This is why we got to take this back. And this is the best part of our action plan, is to reclaim the minds of our children. Because then they went into the public schools and took discipline out of there. So when we acted up in there, they put our boys, our black men, into something called special ed classes.
Pay attention. Please pay attention.
And as you know, those special ed classes are nothing but holding cells until they can go to the state prison. what they did. And then, the one thing that they knew, that if we can put them in prison, if we can have them convicted for a felony, then once they get out of prison, they cannot get a job because of that. They cannot get the job. And then if they happen to eke out and find a job, then they have to pay taxes on a job, yet they cannot vote, and I call that taxation without representation. That's what we're looking at. And if one of the things that we would learn to do, they did a grand thing when they took that discipline away from us, because when they made our parents afraid to discipline the children, then what happened? We found out that the teachers were afraid of the principals were scared of the superintendents was scared of the school board was scared of the parents were scared of the children, and the children ain't scared of nobody.
So I will leave the link and so that you can watch the rest of that. It's a very good video. It has a few more minutes in it, and the link will come from this individual. I can't really pronounce this person's page name. This is where I'm getting it from. ShemsiEnTehuti, right? So just wanted to give a shout out to this page. I have no rights to this page. This is this individual's YouTube channel. This is where I just happened to get this video from. I will shoot you the link. I do not have any association. I really know this individual. I was just really looking for this video for Dr. Julia Hare. As you can see, I have it typed up here, Dr. Julia Hare, Black Women. So she's talking about the family. She's talking about the discipline of the child. And if you heard about what's going on, special education, mothers, queens, again, this is where you come into play. Special education is very, very significant when it comes to diagnosing your child. When it comes to diagnosing our kings and our princesses, but definitely geared towards our young princes, is very significant and has detrimental effects on the future of that child. The medicine that's associated with being in special education for ADHD and conduct disorder and all these other disorders are also something that's very significant in the development of the child's mind all throughout the life, which is proven that because of these diagnoses and because of the medicine associated with these diagnoses, it gives a prince or a princess, but mostly a prince, a higher probability of going to the state prisons when that child gets of age. My melanated sisters, my queens, please make sure that you comprehend this information. Remember what I said before. You are the porter of life. You are the savior of your child. You are the savior of your king, which is your man. You are it. And I say that because, again, you are the foundation and the fundamental principle of our home. If you go back to the book of Bereshit, also known as Genesis, Adam was walking. He was naming all of the creatures. He had dominion. But the Most High himself said that it's not good that man should be alone. And he gave him a woman. Now, you have to really digest what the Most High had done. He already had created a man. He already had created us there. We were there, the man. But the Most High, in his infinite wisdom, in his infinite comprehension, in his infinite understanding, he looked down and he said, it is not good that man should be alone. What does that mean? That means that there was an incomplete state there. It's not good that he should be alone. He needed some assistance. He needed some assistance. He needed someone that was going to fulfill that man. He needed someone that was going to ensure that that man was what he needed to be. And what did he do? He created you, a melanated queen, to be next to assist, encourage, strengthen, nourish the king. So if the Most High can identify in his infinite wisdom the importance of you, then surely within you and I can we look at this situation and comprehend the importance of who you are and what you mean, not only to humanity, but what you mean to the so-called black community, what you mean to us, what you mean to the man. We need you. Very, very important for you to comprehend that. And things are going on around us today. Once again, I love diving into the history, but we also have to deal with the current events as well. And currently, our princes and our princesses are under attack. And one of the first defenses is going to be you, the mother, the queen. For those of you who don't have children of your own, I'm sure you have a niece. I'm sure you have a nephew. I'm sure you know some kid down the not kid, but some child down the street. I'm sure you know somebody with children. You are also a part of that situation. This is not an individualistic thing. This is something that we must ensure that we comprehend we're doing together as a community. This is not about being an island. No one is an island. And we can't be islands within our own community. That's how you get destroyed. We must come together and recognize what's going on current day and how it came from our history and how it correlates to our disobedience unto the Most High and why we're in this position. But the first part of it is identifying the situation. How do we get back to these laws? And how is the disobedience of the laws and the results of that disobedience, how is that affecting our current day state? Again, what are we here to do? We're here to break up everything, not only dealing with scriptures, which is the foundation, of course, but we also got to deal with the psychological, the philosophical, the things that we have to deal with the entire spectrum, because then and only then can you really comprehend what's going on. Then and only then can you truly wake up and smell the spiritual coffee. We have to know. And my sisters, it is very important that you do know, because I'm telling you, if you wake up and you know exactly what's going on, you are forced to be reckoned with that nobody can quench. Nobody can stand in front of you, my sisters. So now we're going to move on to the next video. I would like to go ahead on and move to the next one. And I want you to listen to this. I'm not going to say we're going to listen to the whole 12 minutes and 51 seconds, but I definitely want you to take a listen to what this doctor has to say. Again, with these two individuals, I will give you the link and you can do your own due diligence. But what I really want you to know is the gems that they're putting out in their profession. I'm not dealing with their Pan-Africanist or black or mindsets that they have. We're not talking about that at this juncture, but what we are definitely dealing with is the gems that they're putting out. The information is the information. The gems are the gems. Let's not get caught up in their personal beliefs regarding who we are. But one thing they do know and that we need to get caught up in is what's happening in the system today that's affecting our children. Okay, so let's take a look at that.
Now, let's talk about the special education situation. By the United States Congress in 1975. Why was special ed created? I hope my parents are listening. I hope my education majors are listening. I hope my pre-law students are listening. My sociology and psychology students are listening. Why was special education created? To help kids who were struggling? Hell no. Special education was created to give white folk the prerogative to resegregate black children from white children. I'm going to say it again. Special education was created to give Lower Marion School District and Upper Marion School District and Plymouth Meeting School District and all these other all-white school districts the prerogative to take black children out of the class with white kids and subject them to a separate education. That's what special ed is all about. Let me go a little bit more specific with y'all. In 1954, the United States Supreme Court said you can no longer use race as a function in public education. Everybody knows about that case, right? The Brown versus Board of Education decision, 1954. Charles Hamilton Houston Thurgood Marshall, sued, and won in court proving that giving black children separate educational accommodations was an infringement upon their 14th Amendment rights. Okay? So the Supreme Court said you can't use race. Up until 1975, if you was black, they said you can't come to this school. And that's why up until the 70s, a lot of us was educated. Our grandparents and parents were educated in separate facilities. We had all black schoolhouses. So in 1975, the Supreme Court said, you can't do that no more. But did the white school districts of America listen to them? Hell no. The schools remained segregated. 1964 is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Civil Rights Bill. Once again, Congress says what? You can't discriminate based on race. This is 10 years after 54. Now we're talking the Civil Rights Bill, 64. Guess what? The schools remained separate and racially divided. 10 more years, my birth year, 1974. Half the schools in America are still racially divided. But there's a problem now because America's in Vietnam. And America's trying to tell people in other countries how to treat their citizens right, while they don't even treat their own right. So in the halls of Congress, they jumped up and said, we got to do something about this. 20 years after the Supreme Court said you can't separate based on race, we still got black children going to predominantly and exclusively all black schools. This is making us look like a hypocrite in Vietnam, Russia, other places. So they said we got to come up with something. What can we do? We need a strategy to do what? Legally allow for separate but equal to keep on going. But at the same time, force the white school districts of America to let black children in. And that's when they came up with special ed. Stay with me. Special ed said you can't separate them because they're black. You cannot say, I'm putting them in a special class because they're black. We cannot do that. It's illegal. But what we're going to give you is a label called the learning disability. And if you say they're learning disabled, you can take them out the class. She'll give you another label, emotional disturbance. If you say he's emotionally disturbed, you can take him out the regular class and put him in a special class. Let me give you another label, mild mental retardation. If you call him retarded, you can take him out the regular class and put him in another class. All they did was codify the racism with labels. And what are the biggest labels in special ed? Number one, learning disability. The learning disability is the most diagnosed special ed condition in America. Number two, mild mental retardation. A black boy in America is 4 times as likely as a white boy to be called retarded, even when he's not.
Pay attention.
I was on the phone yesterday with a parent from Alabama. Check this out. This was yesterday on the phone from Alabama. The boy was classified as mentally retarded in preschool, 4 years old. Stay with me. Special ed requires that you get reevaluated every 3 years. So he got another eval when he started kindergarten. The next year he was kindergarten. 3rd grade he got another eval. 6th grade he got another eval. 9th grade he got another eval. Now he's in the 11th grade and the parent is consulting with me. He's been considered retarded since he was 4, now he's 14. Check this out. I went over his paperwork with his mother. She faxed it to me, I went over it with her. And guess what I found? In none of these evals, he had 4 or 5 since 4. He's now 14. Retarded for 10 years, allegedly. Guess what, y'all? I looked at the IQ test that they used. They never even gave the boy a standard IQ test. With every eval, he got a brief IQ test. Let me explain to you what a brief IQ test is. That means I put your child in a room with a desk, and I spend 15 minutes with him. I spend 15 minutes with him. And based on 4 subtests that I administered in 15 minutes, I determined that the boy is retarded. That's how they determined that son was retarded. They didn't even have the decency of giving the boy the standard IQ battery. They rushed him in and rushed him out. And he's been walking around diagnosed as retarded in Alabama for 10 years. So now, mother contacts Dr. Umar Johnson. What's our plan of action? What's the first thing I gotta do? I gotta determine whether or not he's retarded at all. Because if that boy is not retarded, and I'm almost certain he's not. Why am I almost certain he's not? Because on one of those brief IQ tests that they did, he had an IQ score of an 84. That's low average. That is not deficient. That is not MR. So I'm already seeing evidence that the boy is not retarded. So the mother is going to request that the school district, and I want you parents to hear me. The mother is going to request that the school district give her son an independent educational evaluation. I need y'all parents to remember those words. Independent educational evaluation. Federal special ed law says, if you don't agree with the evaluation that the school did for your child, you have a right to another one, and the school district must pay for it. Did every parent hear me just now? So I should never hear another parent say, they said my son was this or that, and I didn't know what to do about it. I just told you what to do about it. You write a letter to the principal. You diagnose my son as retarded. I don't agree with it. I'm requesting an independent educational evaluation. And when you request that, the school district gives you the freedom to find the psychologist that you want to use. Now, we're in Pennsylvania right now, right? I'm certified in Pennsylvania. That means what? That means if any of you ever need an independent educational evaluation, guess who you're going to request? Okay? But let me take that back. You ain't got to request me. You can go get Mr. White Man, but don't come back to me and screw your child up. Anyway, okay? So first we got to determine if the boy is retarded or not. Now what's going to happen when we find out he's not retarded? Because I'm sure he's not. The school district in Alabama is going to owe this family compensatory ed from pre-K, 4 years old, all the way to 9th grade. He's going to get 10 years of back money for all the years that he should have been in the regular class but was in a special class. And then on top of that, we're going to sue the district for what? Psychological damage. Because this boy been walking around since the age of 4 believing he was retarded. And then, because the mother no longer has any faith in Alabama public schools to teach her son, they're going to pay for him to go to a private school for the rest of 11th grade and all of 12th grade. Are y'all following me? This is how you beat the system. Parents, you are the power. You are the power. But the problem is with some of them, with a lot of us, black parents.
He said, parents, you have the power. And I'm going to even go a little bit further into the home. He's absolutely correct. And fathers, we are part of this, no doubt. We must be in the homes. We must ensure things are happening. But mothers, you are the ones dealing with the schools a lot. You are the ones most of the time that's up and down the schools. Again, I'm not talking about isolated situations. I'm talking about on the mass. A lot of the times it's always the mother that's going in and out. Matter of fact, I'm going to qualify that better. A lot of the times it's the mother that's in and out the school, that's getting all the information from the school and bringing it home. And for the single mothers, you're the only one. You're the only one. So you have to know this information. Why is this important? Because you are the front line, my sisters. You are the front line. You really are. At the end of the day, the way it's been structured, the way society is, our current condition, you're the front line. You're the front line behind this information, receiving this information, knowing this information, knowing what's happening with your child, and also, as I stated at the beginning, being the portal and giver of life. Life don't stop when the child comes into the world. You must continue to put life into that child, and the power that you possess, my sister, and the knowledge, understanding, and understanding that you have about who you are, whose you are, who the Most High is, and what's going on in this system today, and waking up to the truth. That information and that understanding, that spirituality, that understanding, that what you have can help propel our people in a positive, forward, progressing direction. I'm not going to be the one to say everything's going to get taken care of overnight, but I'm here to say, in the Most High, he is the one that's going to come back and he's going to set this whole thing in order the way it's supposed to be. But I have not read anywhere in Scripture where we're supposed to stop fighting. We still have an obligation to do for our children, to do for our princes, and do for our princesses. That's why I'm taking my time out to, let me get this information out to those that are listening. And furthermore, queens, knowing who you are and building you up and knowing, you got some power in your hand. Support your king ensure that your prince and your princess are being taken care of, if you have to send them to a school, if you have to send them to a public school, and you have to, please make sure you know what's going on there. Be a part of it for you. When they see you in there and they see that you know what you're talking about, and my wife is a testament to this, they don't mess with you or your child. Let's keep going. We're almost done with this video.
We trifling, we lazy, and we don't keep good documentation and records. Okay? When I worked with this mother on the phone the other day, she had all her paperwork in order. She faxed it to me every eval. I don't see that often. Most of the time, y'all might have one IEP, you might have one eval, you might have one suspension slip, you might have one this. That's not going to cut it. I cannot help you beat the system if you don't have your paperwork in order. I cannot help you beat the system if your child don't go to school on a regular basis. I cannot help you beat the system if your child doesn't do his homework or her homework. So let me get back to my point. They created the learning disability. They created the emotional disturbance. They created mild mental retardation. And then in 1990, they gave us a whole new group of labels. So since the 70s, we was dealing with what? Learning disabled, retarded, mild mental retardation. Learning disabled, emotionally disturbed, mild mental retardation. Learning disabled, emotionally disturbed, mild mental retardation. Then 1990 comes. The mass incarceration of black males gets kicked in.
Pay
George
attention.
Bush the father, followed by Bill Clinton, the first black president. Okay? Bill Clinton started locking up black men by the gazoo. He said, if you get 3 felonies, we're going to put you in jail for the rest of your life. If we catch you selling drugs, you're going to get a mandatory minimum jail sentence. For the first time in American history, you can go to jail for life, having not been guilty of a violent crime. And that's how they swelled up the jails. And why did Clinton swell up the jails? Because one of Bill Clinton's campaign contributors was a private prison corporation out of Texas. He who pays the piper called the tune. So they started locking up black men by the thousands, locking up black men by the thousands, leaving all our mothers at home to raise these boys on their own. And because we know that when the daddy's not there, mama, because the mother is what? You are the nurturer. The woman is the feminine principle. Your job is to nurture and love and care. Daddy's job is to protect and discipline and hold the line. So when daddy's not there, the discipline dips a little bit. But not only that, the son is a little unstable because he misses his father. So they came in with a whole new group of disorders. ADHD, conduct disorder, oppositional defiant disorder. These are the disorders of the 90s. Half the schools in Philadelphia, I go in there, half the boys in the classroom, ADHD. Half of them conduct disorder. A third of them, oppositional defiant disorder. I could take you to certain schools in Philadelphia right now where nearly every boy in the school is on medication.
Pay attention, my sisters.
If it
Pay
ain't
attention.
Ritalin, it's Adderall. If it ain't Adderall, it's Concerta. If it ain't Concerta, it's Metadate. If it ain't Metadate, it's Prozac. If it ain't Prozac, it's Paxil. If it ain't Paxil, it's Risperdal. If it ain't Risperdal, it's Depakote. And guess what? Parents, the drugs that they're giving your son is no different than the drug that got his father locked up. They're the same substance. Ritalin and crack are 1 molecule apart. It's the same substance. You don't believe me? Go to the library. I got a library on campus. Get online, do some research. Look up Drug Enforcement Agency classification of controlled substances, and you're going to see Ritalin in the same category with cocaine and opium. Now, the average crack addict can only afford to get high once a day. Your son got a prescription, Obamacare. He can get high 3 times a day.
So family, when I tell you that the struggle is real and there's a lot of information to be had and a lot of information to be said, my queens, my melanated queens, I don't care what your situation is. I don't care what you're going through, what you have done. That's irrelevant at this point. The time starts now, my sisters. The time starts now with you knowing your worth, your power, and what's going on with your children. You are a queen. You are also a daughter of Zion. You are a daughter of the Most High. Connect back to him. Reestablish yourself back into his laws, his precepts, his statutes, and his commands. Cry on out to him, and he will deliver you from this foolishness. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. And I hope one day my wife can come on here and tell you herself how the Most High will deliver in a time where it looks like there's no door open, no window to crawl out of, there's no way out. I'm telling you, my sisters, there's so much power in your cry. There's so much power in your wisdom that the Most High will move, definitely move on your behalf. Because like his brother said, you are the nurturer. You are the teacher. You're the caregiver. You're the one that I learned how to love from, that I learned my alphabets from, that I learned how to do things that I do today. The man that I am, I learned from you, my sisters. I learned how to care because of you. I learned that I need to protect my queen because I had queens in my life that I love, being that of my mother, being that of my wife, being that of my princesses, my daughters. I cannot do my job, like this brother said. I cannot do my job as a protector. I cannot do my job as a provider if I did not have this strong warrior queen by my side. I would fail, and I'm a man to admit that transparently. I told you I don't mind being transparent, but I'm telling you, my sisters, you have to hear what I'm saying. And my brothers, we have to put our ego aside. We need to uplift our sisters. They are not female dogs. They are not hoes. They're not sluts. They're not BET videos. They're not twerk songs. They're not something that you should just be video camming. That's not our women. Our women are the most priceless piece of jewels on the face of this earth. We need to respect them as such. And I have been guilty of that in the past. But praise be to the Most High. Hawa, I no longer subscribe to that. And I'm telling you, my brothers, if you have an issue with that, call out to the Most High and leave that foolishness alone. You see your sisters walking around here with tight dresses on and skirts all high. No. Pull that sister on the side and don't try to get a number, but let her know her worth. Every man don't need to see her legs and her behind. Sisters, every man don't need to see what's supposed to be for your husband. And your mind, your brain, your intellect, your maturity is insurmountable. It is beyond reproach. Utilize that. Invest into that. So I want to send a shout out to this brother, Ceilo Brown. Again, I have no association with him, but I also want to make sure that when it comes to copyright, I'm giving everybody their respect. I pulled up this video off of this brother page. I don't really associate with him. I don't really know him. No disrespect to him, anything like that. But I want to make sure that this is for fair use and for educational purposes. And I do appreciate this brother here, Ceilo Brown, for uploading this video on his channel. And I also want to make sure that this individual here, ShemsiEnTehuti, also gets his credit or her credit, or this individual get their credit for what they've uploaded online as well. And all credits and everything goes to them. I'll make sure I put the links below so that you can go check these people out on your own. So now that we've covered those bases and we've seen what's going on, we understand, my sisters, that, or correction, we understand what's going on. Let's dive a little bit deeper now. There's some things that I want to bring up that may be a little bit disturbing, but like I told you, this may be a long one. We're going to deal with abortion and race. As I told you before, you are the giver of life. You are the porter of life. But a lot of us have fallen victim. A lot of us have fallen victim. A lot of my sisters, a lot of my queens have fallen victim to not being that porter of life, but have been the porter of death. For whatever the situation may be, and this is a judgment-free zone. Nobody is judging you here. If you fall into this category, there's no judgment. Right now, we're about education. We're about ensuring that you comprehend what's going on, why you may have done what you did. If you did it, I don't know. I'm speaking, and whatever shoe fits, wear that shoe. But I'm telling you, to wear this shoe as well in conjunction with that. You are not to be judged for your past if you've changed and trying to better your future. So let's read this here. And I apologize for taking long. But as I said, I need you to be patient with me this morning. It's a lot of information. I don't want to break this up because we're in the flow right now. So we have 56 minutes and 30 seconds. But hey, you got time. You can put it on a watch later list and continue on. But I want to make sure that while we're in the flow, we continue moving. So it says abortion and race. And this is from abort73.com. This is a pretty good website from what I could tell. A lot of information. And this one kind of hit me in my heart, and I just want to share this information. It says abortion and race. For decades, abortion has disproportionately targeted minority babies, as they call it here. So let's look into it, okay? It says in the United States, black children are aborted at 3 times the rate of white children. Hispanic children are aborted at 1.5 times the rate. Whatever the intentions of the abortion industry, by functional standards, abortion is a racist institution. And if you read this article in its entirety, which we're going to go through a lot of it, but when you look at this, they're going to bring up a name at the end of it called Margaret Sanger. You need to go do your research on who Margaret Sanger is. I will ensure that I put a link at the bottom so you can do your own due diligence. But I'm going to tell you something. When we're dealing with abortion, when we're dealing with Planned Parenthood, when we're dealing with the fact that what it says right here, it says 3 times as likely than a white baby, a white child to be aborted, that's an issue. That is an issue. Let's look at it. It said abortion by the numbers is a racist institution. By the numbers. Make sure you qualify that. By the numbers. I like how they're qualifying that. That's not to say that all or even most of those who support abortion are racist, nor does it imply that there are not racists among those who oppose abortion. This statement has nothing to do with agendas or intent. It has everything to do with the simple, undeniable reality that in the United States, abortion kills black children at roughly 3 times the rate of non-Hispanic white children. The Reverend Cleveland H. Childress calls this phenomenon black genocide and has built a national ministry around its exposure. Aveda C. King, daughter of slain civil rights leader A.D. King and niece of Martin Luther King Jr., quotes her uncle often when outlining her opposition of abortion. She writes, Martin Luther King once said, "The Negro cannot win as long as he is willing to sacrifice the lives of his children or for comfort and safety." I'm going to read that again. The Negro cannot win as long as he is willing to sacrifice the lives of his children for comfort and safety. Let me read that again. The Negro cannot win as long as he is willing to sacrifice the lives of his children for comfort and safety. How can the dream survive if we murder the children? Every aborted baby is like a slave in the womb of his or her mother. The mother decides. The mother decides. The mother decides his or her fate. I think that's a good place to even stop at this article. But did you hear what this individual said? The mother decides his or her fate. It does not matter what that man can coerce you, can push you, can do whatever he want to do to you. But you, again, are the porter of life. And you can make that decision. You can make that decision. And if you know somebody that is struggling with this, let them know that they have the power. Let them know that their worth is it's priceless. So that's very, very important for them to comprehend. Again, if you have done this before, brothers, if you have been a part of this, ask the Most High for forgiveness for it and comprehend what the issue is regarding this. On why abortion is even an issue. On why Planned Parenthood is found in mostly minority or so-called black communities. Why is that? And why is it that we are 3 times as likely? And why is it that our conditions lead us to that? Am I going to blame this so much on the so-called white man? You know that's not where I'm going with this. It goes back to the fact that we are in this position as a people because of our disobedience of the laws that the Most High put out for us. Remember who you are and whose you are. And we have enough videos on this channel to tell you who you are and whose you are. You belong to the Most High. Hawa is your Elohim. And he sits high, but he's looking low and he sees what's going on. And the fact that we have been so against his precepts, his statutes and laws and his commands has put us in this deplorable, horrible condition we're in today. I want to read this next paragraph. I said I was finished, but I need this to hit home. It says, lest you feel these claims are an exaggeration, consider the numbers. Among black women, my sisters be talking to you now. The current abortion ratio is 420. That means there are 420 abortions for every 1,000 live births. Statistically, 30% of black pregnancies end in abortion. That's excluding miscarriages. Among white women, the abortion ratio is 121, which means less than 11% of white pregnancies end in abortion. The abortion ratio among Hispanic women is 178, or 15% of pregnancies. Even though whites make up 63.7% of America's population, white women account for only 37% of its abortions. That's deep. That's deep, y'all. And I'm not going to continue on with this. What we'll do is we'll go ahead on and I'll leave the link for the sake of time. But I want you to take a look at this, my princesses, my queens, my sisters, my melanated sisters. Take a look at this information and digest this information. I told you today was going to be a special segment. I told you that it might be a little gut wrench and may even tick you off a little bit. And that's not my intention, but it is my intention. Because sometimes you have to get ticked off to wake up. To comprehend that your worth, to comprehend that your power goes both ways. And where this nation go, where this nation resides, how we pull ourselves up out of this mess with the help of the Most High, Hawa, how that happens is going to be very much centered around the structure, the intelligence, the willingness, the power, the warriorship of the so-called black woman. It will be centered around you. That's guaranteed. And these numbers are here to show you that. Because it even goes on to say that if it goes on to talk about the statistics of how many since I think 1974, how many abortions has happened and what our population could possibly have been had these abortions didn't happen. Now, that does not erase the reason, which we will address. As time goes on, we definitely will address that. And if there's reasons that I may have missed or things I could have put in this video, please leave the comments below. I'm very into finding out what could be done better. Okay, so let's keep on going here. Let's see what else we have. Let's deal with this right here. Okay, CNN. Don Lemon says more than 72% of African American births are out of wedlock. Let's look into this a little bit more. In the middle of a national conversation about race following George Zimmerman's acquittal, CNN anchor Don Lemon gave on-air commentary that went viral on social media. The focus of the commentary was a 5-point list of recommendations. Black people, quote unquote, Lemon said, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about. And he went on, he said, the number one item on the list, and probably the most important, he said, had to do with out of wedlock births. Just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should, Lemon said, especially without planning for one or getting married first. More than 72% of children in African American communities are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers. And the study shows the lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison, and the cycle continues. Okay? Now, he got some backlash. When you read the rest of his article, he got some backlash because how he didn't quantify this statement in its totality. So let's look a little bit here. I kind of want to show you some statistics because they did a fact check on it. So, of course, we turned the data from the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which publishes a report every year that indicates a wealth of data about births in America. Most recent report published in August 2012 is based on data from 2010. So that what they were doing was trying to fact check this individual to say, hey, this public claim that he made on national television was correct. Well, let's look at it. Percent of births considered non-marital. Non-Hispanic blacks, 73%. So he was factual. Now, let's keep going, because this is what I really want to get to as well. That's why I said I'm not ignorant to know who my audience may be right now. It says the chart below summarizes 2011 Census Bureau data compiled by Kids Count, a project of the Annie E. Casey Foundation. The group defined children in single-parent families as kids under 18 who live with their own single parent. It includes children living with a parent and a cohabiting adult, but it does not include children living with married step-parents. And it says children in single-parent families. With that quantification, it's non-Hispanic blacks. Again, we're leading at 67%. Now, let's quantify that. We should note that this data doesn't suggest that 67% of African-American children have no contact with their father or a father figure, but rather that their father does not live in the same household as them. And I'll make sure I drop this article. What does that mean? Why is all this information important? What is the encompassing? What is the underlining factor of these statistics? I will tell you what it is. When you go back to precepts, the statutes, and laws and commands of the Most High, and how we did our marriages, how we conducted ourselves, this is not the way we did it. In our culture, my sisters, before a man touch you and get between your legs and anything, we had to go talk to the daddy. We had to show that we was worth something to be able to get you, my queen. Consummation, where the marriage actually took place, was inside of the bed. The consummation, the act between the husband and the wife, showed the marriage, and the woman had to be one who had never partaken in intercourse activity. And then you will come out and show the priest, show the daddy, show the tribe by the sheet, by the secretion of blood on the sheet, and show it, saying that this woman has never been touched. It was frowned upon for a woman to be touched prior to. It was very much frowned upon in our community, where today it's been flipped and glamorized. Where this society has taught our queens, taught you, my queens, that it's okay to be promiscuous. It's okay to feel it out prior to going in. That's far from our heritage, my sisters. You as a queen, ain't nobody supposed to be touching on you. You as my melanated sister, ain't nobody supposed to be touching on you, putting their hands on you and filling your body up. No, absolutely not. You are not some feel-good rag for some man to be getting his. No, that's not who you are. You are a queen. You are to be revered and respected to the utmost respect. And ain't nobody supposed to be just rubbing their hands and lips on your body. That's not the way this go. And we need to change that in our community. And my sisters, this start with you. Teach your princesses. Don't let no man put their hand on them or you, unless unless they gonna put a ring on it, and if that ring better be on there fixed firm first. Vows made, then consummation. Do not allow these brothers or anybody else to put their hands on you just for their own personal gratification. That's not who you are, my sisters. That's not who you are. You are worth so much more than that. So much more. And no one is to disrespect your body. No one is to disrespect your mind. You ought to be treated as one of the most priceless gems on the face of this earth. Correction, as the most priceless gem as anything or anybody on this earth. Real talk, straight talk, for real. There's no reason why we can't correct this deficiency in our community. And sisters, believe it or not, you hold a lot of power. You hold a lot of power outside of some schizophrenic brother that will try to actually go against your will and try to have intercourse with you without your permission. You tell the average brother no. One or two things gonna happen. Either he gonna obey or he gonna leave and be mad. But at the end of the day, you have the power to keep that brother sinless, and you have the power to decrease this statistic. To get married first, and to ensure that once the marriage happens, once that brother has been qualified by your standards, that he can marry you and be your king and be a father to your children, your future children, or if you have current children, your current children. After that's been established by your standards, coming from that of the scriptures, your heritage, your indigenousness, that of the Most High, when it comes from that, then consummate the marriage and go ahead on and be fruitful and multiply. That way, that male, that man, that king will be in the home with the children, teaching, structuring, protecting, and providing. That's why I'm showing you these statistics. That's why we're going over the gut-wrenching reality of abortion. That's why we're dealing with the school system and how they are medicating our children, making it a 4 times to 7 times likelihood that we'll wind up, that the so-called black boys will wind up into the prison system. This has been orchestrated by this system. And the reason why this has happened to us is because we have failed to know who we are. We have failed to educate and find out who we are. And we have failed to go back to the precepts, the statutes, the laws, commands, witnesses, and testimonies of the Most High Hawa. That's the issue. Right now, I'm showing you the symptoms of the issue, but the issue is our disobedience. So we have to get back to that. And my sisters, I'm telling you, you're playing a great role in ensuring that we get back, and we need your help. We need your encouragement as men. In case we haven't really dealt with abortion enough, let's look at this individual. Now, this is coming off of the website Planned Parenthood, and if you do your research on Planned Parenthood, what I definitely encourage you to do just for informational purposes, is to go take a look at Planned Parenthood. And when you take a look at Planned Parenthood, find out where the locations are. You'll find out they're mostly in our communities. And then you will find out that this individual right here, Margaret Sanger, this is the name right here, Margaret Sanger. They have awards for this lady. This lady was absolutely a racist and believed that the so-called Negro should have been eradicated from off of the face of the earth, which propelled her to come up with a term called eugenics. And eugenics not only deals with abortion, but it deals with sterilization and it deals with birth control. And then they made an award for this. And you have some very prominent people on here. One in particular that I thought that blew my mind was this one right here. The reason why Dr. Umar Johnson made a very sly comment jokingly about Bill Clinton, first black president, because I don't know if you remember the 90s, but that's what we used to call him prior to President Barack Obama entering into office. We used to call him the first black president, but his wife, Miss Hillary Clinton, is a recipient of the Margaret Sanger Award. Now that should raise a red flag when you do your research on Margaret Sanger and find out she didn't like you. She didn't like me. She didn't like, quote unquote, if you will, our kind. And her program was based off of getting rid of the unfit. And back during her time, the unfit were us. But look at the recipient. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I have to be transparent. I told you I'm transparent. I'm honest. And I'm just looking at the information what it presents. When I kept going down, I saw something that puzzled me a little bit and definitely requires some research. In 1966, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. also was the recipient of the Margaret Sanger Award. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. For those of you who have not seen the documentary Mafia 21, I definitely recommend you check out that video. It will open up your eyes unto the war that's happening on our people. The so-called black, the so-called African American, the so-called Negro. The name of it is called Mafia 21. It's MAAFI 21. I believe that's how it's spelled. Take a look at that. It's a long documentary, about 2 hours and 20 minutes, something like that. Take a look at it, my sisters. You specifically need to take a look at it, my sisters. Real talk, real spill, no doubt. Why is all of this important? We've an hour and 15 minutes into this, and we've talked about Margaret Sanger. We've talked about abortion. We've talked about the school system and how it's after the princes, the so-called black princes. We talk about how we've talked about the importance of the family. And I'll keep reiterating to you, my sisters, how important you are into this particular situation and helping us propel ourselves and getting about the situation and how important it is for us to know what we need to do as a people towards the Most High, Hawa, and ensuring that we get back to his precepts, statutes, laws, and commands so that we can get up out of this predicament. So there's been a lot covered. But why did I cover that? Because my melanated sisters, you are the power. Now, there's no way I can close this out without going to the scriptures. As I told you, I would give you a lot of information, a lot of extracurricular information, but I cannot stop there without going to the fundamental basis of our book. We taking our book back, that being the scriptures. Those are ours. Those are about us, for us, and by us. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at it. And after we take a look at these scriptures, we're going to go ahead and close this thing out. Let's take a gander. And I want to start off with Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 31. Let's take a look at it. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 31. Now remember, this is Moshe talking to the nation, talking to our nation, our people, our ancestors, our fathers, and our mothers. And look what he says in verse 31. But I'm going to back it up a little bit to 29 for contextual purposes. It says, when Hawa, your Elohim, does cut off from before you the nations which you go and dispossess, and you dispossesses them and dwell in their land, guard yourself that you are not ensnared to follow them after they are destroyed from before you, and that you do not inquire about the mighty ones, saying, did these nations serve their mighty ones, and let me do so too. We was not supposed to be dealing with that. Why? Look what it says. It says, do not do so to Hawa your Elohim, for every abomination which Hawa hates, they have done to their mighty ones. For they even burn their sons and daughters in the fire to their mighty ones. When you look at our heritage and you dealt with our sons and our daughters, the Most High was very, very protective of our offspring. Why? Because our seed is very important. Our seed is supposed to inherit the land. Our seed, our people, we are supposed to be we're supposed to be educators to all other nations regarding on how to follow his precepts, his statutes, his laws, his commands. By the coming to the conclusion of that, meaning what? That means that we are supposed to be ensuring that other nations do right so that the entire earth can be right. And he will look down from on high, from the Shamayim, from the heavens, and consider the earth righteous. So our job as a set apart people, that's why he made us a set apart people. He made us a set apart people so that we can give his information, his precepts, his statutes, his laws and commands to who? To give it to not only our people, because we was already supposed to be following it, but also teaching the other nations how to be righteous. That was why he made us a set apart people. Think about it. We was the priests and priestesses of all the nations. That's what our purpose was and still is. That's why he said, do not go after the other mighty ones. Because one of the things that we started doing when we went after Molech and all these other deities is we started sacrificing our sons and started sacrificing our daughters. I tell you, and I submit to you the conclusion, abortion is no different. That's a sacrifice to the system. Putting our kids on Ritalin and letting them get diagnosed with ADHD, that's giving our sons and daughters over to the system, to their Elohim, to their deity. That's what that is. To not educating our children properly, to allowing them to be miseducated, to constantly keeping them in these schools where they're doing so many deplorable things to our children, where they're constantly being afflicted with racism, separate but equal. All these things that we are doing by unintentionally, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally or ignorantly, giving our children over to the system, which the Most High forbade. That's not what we were supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to give our children to the system. We are supposed to teach our children to be separate and set apart in and from this system. Wise man once told me, we are in the world, but we are not of the world. Yes, we live here. Yes, we dwell here. Yes, we pay taxes here. Those are not choices. However, what your child knows, whether your child make it here through your portal, my melanated sister, that's a command from the Most High that we're supposed to do that correctly and righteously in his eyes. And what happened is that Israel, for a long time, this is back during the ancient of days, the ancient of antiquity, right? We was messing up. We was about to mess up. He gave this command, and if you read further, we did mess up, and we gave our children over to Molech. We gave them over to these other Elohims. We gave them over to the system. We did these things. We was disobedient, and because of that, blood ran in our streets. Our children was in turmoil. Our people was in turmoil. We constantly went into different captivities and slavery. So my melanated sister, this is not about trying to bash you. This is not bad. I'm trying to encourage you to, one, if you already staying strong in the struggle, continue to stay strong and continue to do what you do. And if you have made a mistake, pick yourself up. The Most High sees you. Cry out to his name. He will deliver you. He will forgive you, and then become a part of the solution, because the power resides in you, my sister. The power resides in you, my melanated queen. The power is in you. And we as so-called black men, we need you. We really do need you. We need you to have that the homemade tribe spirit and come out as a warrior and fight with us and help us. Yes, we're supposed to be on the front line, and as Dr. Umar Johnson put it, we holding the line, but we can't hold it without you. Because if we trying to hold the line and we worried about you and thinking you can't do something, or you stabbing us in the back, or you not with us, then guess what? We gonna fall. The power resides in you, my sister. The power behind every great man is a phenomenal, strong warrior woman, and you have all that in your veins. And we're going to go over some of these sisters to show you what you have inside of you, what you have in your veins, because these are your ancestors. Don't let nobody take these scriptures from you. You heard me. So now with that said, we're going to move on to 1 Kings. We're going to start off in one fashion, and then we're going to move it on up. We're going to go to 1 Kings. And we're going to go to chapter 3, rather. We're going to go to verse 16. Now listen to this. Now this is with the king Shalamoth, right? It says, then 2 women, whores, came to the sovereign and stood before him. And one woman said, "Oh, my master, this woman and I dwell in the same house. And I gave birth while she was in the house. And it came to be the 3rd day after I had given birth that this woman also gave birth. And we were together. There was no one else with us in the house, only the 2 of us in the house. Then the woman's son died in the night because she lay on him." So it's a mistake. She turned over, laid on the baby. And unfortunately, the baby deceased. "And she rose up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while your female servant slept, and laid him in her bosom. And he laid her dead laid her dead child in my bosom." Switcheroo going on here. "And I rose up in the morning to nurse my son and saw he was dead. But I looked at him closely in the morning and saw he was not my son whom I had born. And the other woman said, 'No, but the living one is my son, and the dead one is your son.' And the first woman said, 'No, for the dead son is your son, and the living one is my son.' And they spoke before the sovereign. And the sovereign said, 'The one says, this is my son who lives, and your son is dead one, while the other says, no, for your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one.' And the sovereign said, 'Bring me a sword.' So they brought a sword before the sovereign. And the sovereign said, 'Divide,'" pay attention, my sisters, "'divide the living child in 2, and give half to one and half to the other.'" He said, "Okay, we're going to fix this situation. We're just going to cut the baby in half, and then both of y'all be happy," right? And the woman, remember, there's 2 women standing here. My sisters, pay attention. I'm talking to you. "And the woman whose son was living spoke to the sovereign." This is what happened when you speak. This is what happened when you cry. This is what happened when your wisdom. Check this out. Now watch what it do to the king. Check it out. It says, "For she overcame with compassion for her son." Compassion saves the life of a child. Let's go. "And she said, 'Oh, my master, give her the living child, and by no means kill him.' But the other said, 'Let him be neither mine nor yours, but divide him.' And the sovereign answered and said, 'Give the first woman the living child, and by no means kill him. She is his mother.'" The compassion and the love of a mother can save a life of a child. The compassion and love of a mother puts into the atmosphere reactions that happen that shows the entire earth that this mother will die, will care, will do whatever you have to do to make sure this child is good to go. Because what could have happened there? Could a child have gotten killed? Yes. What could have happened if she had no regard for her child? The other woman would have had. And how would that other woman have treated that baby, knowing that her child had died and she had stolen another child from another woman? Would she have given that child the kind of love that child needed? I submit to you the conclusion, no. But that mother saved that child's life, both physically and futuristically, because both situations was a bad situation. If she would have killed the woman that took her child in that regard, that would have been an issue. Because thou shalt not what? Murder. Thou shalt not kill. And that's a command that Shalom showing up would have followed. The second instance is that if he wouldn't have cared about the child and just let the child live with the other woman, not only would she be hurt, but the child wouldn't have not gotten the care that he or she needed. Would have lost who he or she is, as many of us have. Third of all, the king would have been like, if she wouldn't have spoke up, chop the child up. Give them to them both. Get them out of my kingdom. Get them out of my face. That could have happened. Is all this speculation? Of course. But we just diving down. We're riding the wave. We're getting into this a little bit. What is the point? Because that woman spoke up for her child and was willing to let the child go in this situation so that the child would not die. Save that child life in all three regards. My queen, my melanated sisters, that's a power you possess. Speak up your compassion and love, and it could save the life of your baby. And by default, save the life of a nation. You don't believe me about saving the life of a nation? Let's turn to Exodus chapter 2. Let's turn to Exodus and let's look at your care and wisdom. Let's read 10 verses. And a man of the house of Levi went and married a daughter of Levi, and the woman conceived and bore a son. And she saw that he was a lovely child, and she hid him for 3 months. Why did she hide him? Because Pharaoh is about to destroy these little babies. And when she could hide him no longer, she took an ark of wicker from him and coated it with tar and pitch and put the child in it and laid it in the reeds by the edge of the river. And his sister stood at a distance. His who? His sister. So we got the mother and we got the sister. We have the queen and we have the princess working here to save this king, to save this little prince's life, who will one day be a king and who will be used by the Most High to deliver the entire nation. Let's keep reading. I'm feeling good right now. And his sister stood at a distance to know what will be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh, here we go, another woman. The daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her young women were walking by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the reeds, she sent her female servant to get it, and opened it and saw the child, and see the baby wept. So she had compassion on him and said, this is one of the children of the Hebrews. And his sister said unto Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call a nurse for you from the Hebrew woman to nurse the child for you? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the young woman went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this child away and nurse him for me. Then I shall pay you wages. So the woman took the child and nursed him. And the child grew. And she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter. And he became her son. And she called his name what? Moshe, or who we call Moses, saying, because I have drawn him out of the water. Now, if anybody know who Moshe is, or Moses, if you will know what happens to this young man and what he does. But it was his mother, it was his sister, it was Pharaoh's daughter, it was the queens that got together and saved this prince's life. This prince grows up and he becomes a king among our people, a leader, a ruler, and used by the Most High himself to do what, family? To do what, my melanated sisters? He rescues and delivers an entire nation of people, that being our ancestors. So this is the second time we've read something about Moshe. The other video we did is Zipporah, his wife, who also saved him from being destroyed, according to the book of Yashir, by the Malach messenger, an angel of the Most High, because Moshe hearkened unto the voice of Reuel or Jethro and did not circumcise Gershon, as was commanded to Abraham his father and to all the nation of Israel, that we are supposed to circumcise our children by the 8th day, on the 8th day. Zipporah saw that this angel was about to kill Moshe, even after he was commissioned to do the work and deliverance of our nation. And she hurried up, took a sharp stone, circumcised Gershon, and ensured that Malach did not destroy Moshe. Now we have the mother and the sister working together, a queen and a princess, working to ensure that Moshe is alive. So twice his life was saved by queens and princesses. So I ask you the question, an open-ended question that I look forward, hopefully I can hear you from here in the comments. Who really delivered Yisrael? Was it Moshe or was it the queens? Food for thought. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about the cry of a mother and how it brings life into the equation and how it makes the Most High move, and how the Most High looks and hears and regards the cry, the genuine cry for life from the melanated queen. Let's turn to 1 Samuel. And we're going to go to chapter 1. And we're going to deal with this prophet's mother, Hannah. And there was a certain man of Rathmaim, Sophron, of the mountains of Ephraim. And his name was Elkanah, son of Yoraham, son of Eliu, son of Tohu, son of Supho, and Ephraimite. And he had 2 wives. The name of one was Hannah. That's who we're going to be talking about. And the name of other, Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Now this man went up from his city year by year to worship and slaughter to Hawa of hosts in Shiloh. And the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priest of Hawa, were there. And when the day came of Elkanah to make a slaughtering, he gave portions to Peninnah, his wife, and to all her sons and daughters. But although he loved Hannah, he gave only one portion to Hannah because Hawa had shut up her womb. It means she couldn't have any kids. She was unable at that point. Moreover, her rival also provoked her greatly to make her irritable because Hawa had shut up her womb. And so he did year by year. Whenever she went up to the house of Hawa, she had provoked, so that she wept and did not eat. And her husband Elkanah said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? And why is your heart sad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? And Hannah rose up after eating and drinking in Shiloh, while Eli the priest was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the Hekel of Hawa. And she was bitter in life and prayed to Hawa and wept greatly. And she made a vow and said, O Hawa, of hosts, if you would indeed look on the affliction of your female servant and remember me, and not forget your female servant, but shall give your female servant a male child. Then I shall give him to Hawa all the days of his life, and let no razor come upon his head. And it shall be, as she kept on praying before Hawa, that Eli was watching her mouth. And Hannah spoke in her heart. Only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. So Eli thought she was drunk. Then Eli said to her, how long are you going to be drunk? Put your wine away from you. And Hannah answered and said, no, my master. I am a woman pained in spirit, and I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my being before Hawa. My sisters, pour out your being before the Most High Hawa. I'm sorry right now, I just got a little excited. But please, my sisters, pour out your being before the Most High regarding life in you, about you, around you. Oh, because he listens. When you cry out, he listens to you. Let's keep going. Do not take your female servant for a daughter of Belial, for it is out of my great concern and provocation that I have spoken until now. And Eli answered and said, go in peace. And Elohim Yisrael give you your petition which you have asked of him. And he said, let your female servant find favor in your eyes. And the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no more sad. And they rose up early in the morning and worshiped before Hawa, and returned and came to the house of Ramnah. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, meaning had intercourse. And Hawa, you hearing this, right? Hawa remembered her. And it came to be at the turn of days that Hannah conceived and bore a son, and called his name Shemuel, because I have asked Hawa for him. As you read on in this passage, you go to chapter 2. She weaned, but at the time that her son Shemuel was weaned off of her milk, off of her breast, she brought him to the temple to Eli. And Shemuel dwelt there for the remainder of his days. He became a prophet and priest. This man, prince turned king, prophet, priest. Guess what he does, family? He anoints the king of Israel. He anoints Saul. And Saul messed up. But this same man, Shemuel, anointed David. And if you know anything about David, or who we call David, King David, you'll know that he was a man after Elohim's own heart. You will know that he slayed many in the name of Hawa. You will know that he had a son named Shalomoth, or Solomon, who we just read about. You will know about the fact that our king now sleeps. In Scriptural, you can find this. But we expect to see him rule this kingdom again. But the Most High Hawa comes and set this thing back in order. What am I saying to you, my sisters? No, I've gone on pretty long this morning, showed some videos, put out some information. But I want to make sure I set the record straight. This is not to belittle you. This is not to make you angry to the point to where you don't want to listen. This is not to show you the faults only in our community. This is not to make you feel perplexed about your past. That's not the point. The point is this. You are a queen. Your daughters are princesses. You are daughters of the Most High Hawa. You are the first woman. You are the queen of the universe, if you will. You are special. You are the need and want of the so-called black man, the king. You are needed in this time to be right next to your man. You are needed in this time to comprehend, not but overstand the issue that's facing you right now. To overstand the complex situations that are surrounding your children today in this society. You are priceless. And it's going to be through you. Whether it be through the support system, whether it be hidden, whether it may not be exaggerated, where it may not be through where it may not be educated, it will be through you, through the help of you, through the power of you, through the fortitude of you, my sisters, that our nation, that our people, our community will progress, will be saved, will be set back in order, waiting for the Most High to come back and do his due diligence. But we need you right now to help us fight, to help your king fight, to help your king hold that fort. We are incomplete without you. We cannot move forward without you. Every other agenda and movement does not matter. We need you with us. We need you in our families. We need you, my sisters, to operate in your queenship, in your warriorhood. Work with us, not for us, but work with us, side by side, unified and strong. I hope that the correct message has been portrayed here. Did the best that I could to be unbiased, but I pray that the Most High Hawaii will take this message and have his way. I love you, my melanated queens, my melanated sisters, my princesses. And to my kings, let's support our queens. May the Most High keep you. May the Most High bless you. Hallel Hawaii. Hallel Hawaii. Hallel Hawaii. All praises be to Hawaii. But you have a great day. Shalom.